Hello everyone, I'm Amitangshu Pal and welcome to Introduction to Advanced C. So this course is specifically designed for sophomore level students. Therefore, it is expected that you have some knowledge on programming, correct? But still, I'm going to start from very basics and then we'll gradually get into more and more details. So before going into any details, let me first give you some background information on how these videos were created. So these lectures were originally recorded as part of the course CIS 2107 at Temple University. And on top of these recorded lectures, I have made some edits, additions and deletions. And therefore, these videos were not as professionally edited as many other online lectures. But nevertheless, you will get a very good understanding about the material discussed. So in this course, we'll learn different procedural programming concepts like conditional statements, loops, functions. And along with that, we'll also learn a decent level of details on pointers and structures. And most importantly, we'll solve different application-oriented programming problems using C as we'll move forward. All right. So throughout this course, we will use GCC compiler to compile and run the C code. So let's get started with a simple C program, and then let me show you how we can compile and run a simple C code using the GCC compiler. All right. Okay. So I have installed Ubuntu system. All right. So here, first thing is that I need to open a terminal, and then first job is to make a directory for your class. Okay. So how to make a directory? The command is mkdir. Okay. Make directory. So make directory CIS 2107 Spring 2021. Okay. So let's make this directory. All right. Okay. So now we will see that this directory CIS 2107 Spring 2021 is created. Clear? So now you need to go inside your directory. So you need to type cd. Cd means change directory. Change directory to CIS 2107 Spring 2021. Clear? So now you are in this directory. Clear? And if you want to see the entire path to your directory, you need to type pwd. Pwd will show you the entire path from your home to your current directory. Clear? Okay. Another command is ls. Ls means what are the files and directories are there in your current directory. Okay. In your current directory, what are the files and directories? Clear? At this point, I just created your directory. So there is no files. Clear? Okay. So inside this directory, let's make another directory for your section. So mkdir section 5. Okay. So you will see that section 5 is created inside this directory. Okay. So again, I need to use change directory section 5. Now there is nothing. So now I'm going to open the first program. Okay. I'm going to open the file where I'm going to write the first program and will run it. Okay. So for opening a file, I need to use some editor. Okay. In Linux, editor means where we are going to write your program. It's similar to Wattpad, Notepad in Windows. Okay. So in Linux, you need to use an editor where you can type your program. So there are different types of editor. One is gedit. Other than that, you have NEdit, VI, Vim, GVim. Different types of editors are there. So you can use any editor that you feel is convenient. Okay. Editor is just a place where you can write your program. Emacs is another very well used editor. So editor is a place where you write your program. There is nothing mandatory that you have to use this editor or that editor. Whatever you feel convenient, you can use it. It's just a place to write. Clear? So let me use gedit. So gedit, let me give the file name as CIS2107 class 1 .c. Okay, so this is a C program, so I am writing .c because .c is an extension for C program. Okay, and ampersand, so this is going to open your file. Okay, so if I put ampersand, basically I can write over here. At the same time, I can write in the terminal in parallel. Okay, if you do not write ampersand, the file will open. You can write your file, but you can write command over here. Okay, come to this command window, you need to first close it, and then only you can write command. Clear? So it's better to use this ampersand so that you can write in your file at the same time you can write comments. Clear? Okay, so let's start writing our first program. So like any language, let's first write a program that is going to print hello world to the output terminal. Okay, this is the simplest program that we write for any programming language. Okay, so in C, when you want to write a program, the first thing that you need to include is some header files. Okay. So hash include standard io.h. Okay. So hash include stdio means standard io.h. So it is a header file that implements the function like printf, scanf, and all those things. Okay. So here I want to print hello world to the output terminal, right? So print hello world means I need to use a function for printing, which is printf. Okay. So in any C program, some header file you have to use. So standard IO is basically the standard header file that you anyway need to include. Clear? Now let's write the main function. So this is the main function, and whatever I'm going to write inside the main function, I need to write inside two curly braces. Okay. So in C later on, you can see that you can write multiple functions other than the main functions also. But your point of execution is going to be from main. Your point of execution is going to start from main. Clear? Okay, so whatever I'm going to write inside main will be inside these braces. So in this program, as I said, what do I want to do? I first need to print hello world to the output terminal. Okay, so I'm going to write printf world. Okay, and let's do /n. /n means it's a special character called new line character. So what /n will do is that after writing hello world, the control will go to the next line. Okay. Hello world, then the control will go to the next line. That's it. Next line or new line. Okay. So that's pretty much the simplest C program that can be written. Okay. Include the header file, write your main function, and inside main, just put one line hello world. Okay. That's about your source file. Okay. You can type clear to clear all your previous comments on your screen. So you can basically clean your screen. Okay, clearing the screen. Okay, so let's see how I can run the program from the output terminal, not using any ID. So as I said, I'm going to use GCC compiler. Okay, so in the compilation process, I need to use GCC compiler. Okay. GCC in general come with Ubuntu system. Okay, so GCC Okay, so after writing this program, if you type ls, you will see that the program, the file is there inside your folder. Okay, now let's try to compile it. So the corresponding command is gcc is basically the compiler, so I need to invoke that compiler. Source file name, this is my source file name, dash o output file name. So let me keep the output file name same as the source file name. Okay, the only difference is that source file name ends with a .c extension, because this is a C file. Output file name is just an executable file, so there is no dots. Clear? So gcc source file name dash o output file. Clear? Output file name you can use any other name. For the convenience, I'm just using the same file name, but you can use any other file names. Okay, you can just write output file or something. Clear? So if you do this, you will see that a new file called CIS2107 class 1, that is basically same as your output file name, is created. Okay, and here in my system it is showing green. So in my system, green color means it is executable file. Executable file means it is ready to be executed, or it is ready to be run. Clear? And this is a executable file means this is a binary file. Binary file means these all consist of zeros and ones. Okay, these are not human readable. So if you open this, try to open this file, these are all look like junk, but this is not human readable file. Okay, this is only for your machine to understand. Clear? So this process is called compilation process. After the compilation process, the executable file is going to be created. Clear? The next job is to run the executable file. How to run the executable file? The corresponding command is / your executable file. Okay. So if I run the executable file, it is going to print hello world, which I was trying to print using my source code. Okay. So for the time being, just remember two processes using GCC or two steps. First, you need to compile the code, generate the executable file. In the next step, you are going to run the executable file. Clear? Later on, I am going to show you that this compilation process consists of 4 different stages. This consists of pre-processing, compiling, assembling, and linking. These are 4 different stages that are 4 different steps that are happening when you are writing this code. But that we are going to learn later on. For the timing, just first compile and then run. Okay, just divide it into 2 simple steps. Okay, clear to everyone? Okay. Now the next thing is that in Linux, here I have written GCC source file name dash o output file name. You can change the order also. That means you can first check, write GCC dash o CIS2107 class 1. So dash o output file name, and then you can write CIS class 2107 class 1 .c. Okay. So you can either write this or you can write this. So the order is not important. GCC, your output file name, then source file name, or GCC source file name, output file name, any order is going to work. Okay. The only thing that you need to remember is that your output file name should follow dash o. Dash o is basically saying that the following file name is output file. That's the only thing that you need to remember. No other order is important. So if I type this, this is also not going to give any error. Okay. Okay. So now let's modify this code that we have just written. So this was my code, and you have learned how to just write and run your first C code, right? Okay. So if you want to write command, you can write / and then you can write your comment. Okay, so this is going to print hello. All right, the next thing is to play with variable and arithmetic operation. Okay, what are the different types of variables or data types that you need to use in C, and what are the some simple arithmetic operations? Let's try to learn variables and arithmetic operations. So as you have already learned in previous classes, there are different types of variables like integer, floating point, double, character, string. Okay, so string is not a variable, but string is basically a set of characters or array of characters. All right. Okay, so let's start with integer, floating point, etc. So integer a is say 10. All right, that means it is initializing a to 10. All right. Now let's say float f equal to 5. It is initializing let's type double d is equal to a plus f. Okay, so double and float both are fractional numbers. Okay, both are fractional numbers. Double provides a higher precision than floating point. Yeah, both are fractional number. If you want more precision, then you need to use double, otherwise float is fine. Yeah. Now let's see, I want to print the values of these three numbers. So I will write printf the values of a equal to %d. I'm coming to this %d notation in detail in a minute. F equal to %f, d is equal to %f, slash n means new line, as we have already learned. F, d. So if you write this, then what will happen? So %d is basically the placeholder for an integer. Okay, %d is a placeholder for the integer. So here %d is going to be replaced by a. Okay, there are 3%, %d, %f, %f. The first percent is going to be replaced by the first variable, which is a. Next is going to be replaced by the next variable, which is f. Next is going to be replaced by the next variable, which is d. Okay, so %d is a placeholder for the integer. That means this percent is going to be replaced by a. %f is the placeholder for floating point. So this will be replaced by f. %f is also the placeholder for the double. Okay, for floating point and double, there is no different placeholder because both are fractional numbers. Okay, so this %f will be replaced by d. Clear? Okay, so if I run this program, let's see. So you can use up arrow from your keyboard to traverse your or invoke your previous comments. All right. So I want to compile this. Now it is compiled. Now I need to run it. So I'm running it. So hello world came from this line, and then the new print statement is basically written over here. So the value of a is 10, f is 5.5, and d is 15.5. Add 10 plus 5.5, 15. Okay. All right. Now let's see. So by default, if you observe this line, by default, after the point, there will be 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 digit in a floating point as well as in a double. Okay, by default, there are 6 digits that will be printed. Right. Now suppose I do not want to see 6 digits because these are anyway zeros. Right. I want only 2 digits after the decimal. I want to print only 2 digits after the decimal. How can I do so? You can write 0.2f. 0.2 means 2 digits after point. Clear? So if you compile, so notice that once you make any change, you first need to again compile, produce the executable file, and then run the executable file. Okay. So into compile and then into run. So now you will see that f is 5.50. All the remaining 4 zeros are removed because here I mentioned that I need to see only 2 digits after the point. Clear? Okay. Now in many places you will see that 6.2 is written. 6.2 or 10.2 is written. What does this mean? This means that this will contain a total of 6 digit. A total of 6 digit including 2 digits after the point. Okay. A total of 6 digit including 2 digits after the point. Let's see what does this mean. So if I print this in this format, you'll see that there is a space after the equal to. Okay. So that means it has taken a total of 6 digit space. Okay. It has taken a total of 6 digits place, including 2 digits after the point. Clear? If you have written 10.2, the space is going to increase because it has taken a total of 10 digit space, including 2 digits after the decimal. Okay. And this thing you can do it for the integer also. So for integer also, if you do this a equal to 10, so that means it has taken a total of 6 digit, but for 10 you do not need 6 digits, so there is a number of empty space ahead of 10. Okay. Okay. Now let's learn. So these are all numeric values. Let's learn character. So character c equal to say x. Okay. So characters are written inside single quote. Characters are written inside a single quote. Okay. And for character, the corresponding placeholder is %c. %c for character. Okay. So that's it. If I want to print c over in the same line, then c equal to %c. It's clear because there are a lot of comments. So c equal to x. All right. So in this way, you can print different numeric values and character values. Okay. Now let's see. Now there are some variables like the value of pi or the value of e. These are constant. These are called constant. The value of pi is not going to change or shouldn't change throughout the course of your program. Right? So let's see how we can define those constants. Okay. The value of pi is basically called symbolic constant. Okay. These are constant. Value of pi will not change. Value of e is not going to change. Okay. These are called symbolic constant. So you can definitely write float pi equal to 3.14. It is not going to give any trouble. But the convention is that the symbolic constants are written before main in a special way using preprocessor statement. Okay, what is preprocessor? I'm going to come in a minute. So let's see how we can define the value of pi by using a preprocessor statement. Okay. So I can write hash define pi 3.14. Okay. So here I am defining pi as 3.14, and if I write in this way, that means it will be considered as symbolic constant. That means this is going to be remain constant throughout the course of your program. We can change it. Okay, this is a symbolic constant. Similarly, value of e is what? E is I think 2.718 or something. Okay. This is also a symbolic constant. Clear? Now this kind of statement, hash define or hash include, this kind of statement are called preprocessor statement. Okay. Whatever preprocessor, whatever starts with hash is basically preprocessor statement. Clear? Okay. So let's see whether if I print value of pi and e, whether things are getting printed properly or not. Let's give some space so that you can see it clearly. So the values of I, if it's a floating point, p is equal to %f slash n. You can see that the pi is 3.14 and total of 6 digit after the point, same with e. Okay. Now these preprocessor statements are not only limited to the some specific constant. Okay, you can build your own constant that you think will remain constant throughout the course of the program. Okay, and it is not limited to numeric values also. So for example, you can just write hash define my name is okay. So you want my name to remain constant throughout the course of your program. So you can define your own symbolic constant. Okay? So you can just write my name equal to %s. S is for string. Okay. And here you can just write my. So now if we compile, you'll see my name is equal to Amit. Okay. Now let's add some more material into this program. So you have learned how to print some numeric values, how to use preprocessor statement. Okay. All right. So we have learned how to print. Till this point, we have learned how to print into the terminal. Now let's see how to take inputs from the terminal. Okay. Print means you are basically the program is outputting to the output terminal. Okay. That means you are printing or outputting to the terminal. Now let's see how you are taking inputs from the output terminal. Okay. The corresponding function is called scanf. Scanf means it is scanning the inputs from the output terminal. Printing means it is printing the output to the output terminal. Printf and scanf are two different or two opposite things. Okay. And these functions reside in standard IO.h. IO means, as I said, input output. Okay. Printf is basically outputting things to your output terminal. Scanf that I am going to show is basically scanning or taking inputs from the output terminal. Okay. So suppose I want to take some user input. Okay. So let's see how we can use it. Scanf and say array. All right. So let's write a program that is going to take the name and age of a student. Okay. However, it is going to ask the user to enter his or her name and his or her age. All right. So that the user can enter from the output terminal that a name is this, age is this, and then the program will scan those values from the output. Yeah. Let's see. So for name is basically a set of characters, right? That means you need an array of characters. Clear? Name is a string. You see there is no specific or separate data type as string. Instead of using string, we are going to use a character array. Array means it will contain a set of characters. Okay. So character name, say 50. That means name is a character array that can contain a maximum of 50 characters. Okay. So this is going to declare an array of a maximum of 50 and age. Okay, it is going to, so name is going to store the name that the user is going to input. Age is going to store his or her age. Okay. So let's see. So now your program will ask the user to enter his or her name. Okay, that means it is going to print enter your name. Okay. That means it is going to ask the user to enter your name, and after, so that means this is going to be printed. If you run this program, this is going to print it in the output terminal, and then after getting this message, the user is going to type his or her name. So whenever he is typing, it needs to be scanned and stored into name. Okay, so how can I do so? I can use scanf %s, because your name is going to be a string name. That's it. Okay. So I'm just typing name over here. Okay. Just the name of the array. At this point, do not ask me why. Okay. At this point, just remember the convention. If you want to scan something that you want to store in an array, you need to use %s, the name of the array. Okay. Later on, we are going to see why we are just passing the name of the array. Okay. So whenever we are going to learn pointer arithmetic, we are going to understand a little more detail. For the time only, remember the convention. Okay. Similarly, it is going to ask printf what is your age. Question. Scanf %d, because this is going to be an integer, ampersand age. Okay. So if for any numeric values or a character also, you need to use ampersand. For an array, you need to use only the name. Okay. For the timing, remember this convention. For scanf, for any variables, you need to use ampersand age, ampersand the variable name. For any variable array, you need to only put the name of the array. Yeah. Whenever we are going to learn pointer arithmetic, we are going to learn more about this syntax. Clear? For the timing, just remember the convention. Okay, let's compile and run it. So what is your name? My name is Amitanshu. What is your age? 50. Okay. So now at this point, I didn't print anything. Okay. So there is no way to understand whether the name and age is stored in this variable properly or not. So let's print it. My name is %s and age is age. So my name is Amitanshu and age is 30. That means my scanf is working perfectly. Okay. So we have learned the use of scanf as well as printf. These are two opposite operations. Printf prints things to the output terminal, scanf scans input or takes input from the output. Clear? So till this point, I have just shown you how to take your name and the age. Okay. Now let's see. Let's modify this program slightly. Suppose I want to take the name and age of all the students in your class, and I want to add the age of all the students in your class and take the average. So basically, I want to calculate the average age of the students in your class. Okay, so how can I modify this program? I can either write, so suppose there are 30 students, so I can either repeat this process 30 times, and then after every input, I need to add the ages, and then I will divide it with the number of students, right? Otherwise, I need to use a loop, right? So based on the number of students, the loop will be iterated. Right? Typing this again and again is very tedious, so better to use a loop. Okay. So in C, there are three different types of loops that we are going to learn: for, while, and do. Okay. All right. So in this example, let's assume that there are 5 students in this class. Okay, I cannot type the name and age of 30 students. That will be tedious. Assume that you have 5 students in your class. Okay, so let's assume that count equal to 5. There are 5 students. Okay, and let's put another variable called I. So for I is equal to 0, I less than count, I plus plus I am going to ask the name and age of students. Okay. Now let's okay. So the for a for loop, the syntax is initialization, condition checking, increment. I plus plus means basically I equal to I plus one. Okay. I plus plus is equal to I equal to I plus one. So the for loop, there are three different pieces: initialization, condition checking, and increment. And inside the loop, you have your body. Okay. All right. For the timing, just make this comment. Okay. So it is going to iterate 5 times. It will start from 0, enter, take the name and age. Next, we increment it, take the check the condition. As the condition is less than 5, it will again scan the elements, and this process will go on until unless I is equal to count. When I is equal to count, it will come out of the loop. Clear? Okay. Now, in addition to that, I need to sum the or I need to add the age of the students. Clear? So let's include a sum variable equal to an initial is 0. And then whenever I am scanning the age, I need to increment the sum variable, sum equal to sum plus age. Okay. So at the end of the loop, I will have the total age of all the students in your class. So now I can print the average age of the students in class is percent f. So sum divided by 5.0 as the reference students. That's it. Let's see whether it is compiling properly or not. Name, what? Enter your name. Say Amit, age 30. Enter your name. John, age 20. Enter your name. Jean, age 25. Carol, age 25, 29. Enter your name. Age 43. So average students in this class is 31.40. Okay. So if we add this 30, 20, 25, 39, 43, these are close to around 30s, right? Okay. Now let's see how we can replace this for loop using while while loop. Okay. So the while loop, first your I needs to be initialized before entering into the loop, and then it is going to check while I is less than count. Okay, initialization, condition checking, and then the increment will come after your body, I plus plus or I equal to I plus. Okay, so here also there's 3 steps, but the way it is written is slightly different. Initialization, next is checking while I is less than count, then I plus plus. So I will start from 0, condition is true, it will go inside the body, increment, then the condition is again going to be checked, condition is true, go inside the body, again increment. When I equal to count, the condition is going to be false, then it is going to come out and print the age. Okay. So let's compile. Name, Amit, Carol, so averages in this case is 28.4. Okay. And next, do while. Do while is basically the opposite of while. The condition will check will come at the end. Okay. So first, go inside the loop. Okay, irrespective of the initial value, it is going to go inside the loop, and then while I is less than. Okay, so the while statement will come at the end. Do body then while. Initialization, increment, and condition. The average students in this class is 28.80. Okay, so in this way you can use three different types of loops. Again, in this class I've only shown you the basics. Okay, for loop, while loop, and do while loop. All these three has three different pieces: initialization, condition checking, and increment. Okay, along with the body, but they are written in different way using different syntax and in different sequence. Okay, now let's see. So here I have written int I equal to 10. Okay, instead of writing that, I could have written int a and then a equal to 10. Okay. These are two different stages. First step is called declaration. You are declaring that a is an integer, and this step is called initialization. Okay. You are declaring that a is an integer, and you are initializing that the value of a is equal to 10. Clear? And whenever you are writing int a equal to 10, both the declaration and initialization is happening in the same stage, in the same time. Okay, these are some terminology, because sometimes some people will say that declare a as float or initialize a to 500, something like that. Okay, so we just to make yourself familiar with this terminology. Preprocessor statement I have already explained, and for while. Okay, so that's pretty much I wanted to cover in this class, because I just wanted to give you some basic understanding of how to write the first C code, what are the different types of variables that you need to use frequently, how to use a very simple array, how to use printf scanning, and how to work with different types of loops. Okay,